Steve Kaplan is standing by, and he looks fantastic via Zoom in his office. And, Steve, it looks to me like you are at West Bloomfield Town Hall in your office, or are you at home?
Hi, Dave. I'm at the office.
All right, I could see that. I could see your computer and everything behind you and all the maps. Steve is the West Bloomfield Township Supervisor, and thank you very much. I look back at my calendar, and I look at that day that you invited me and a lot of other folks from West Bloomfield to come over to your office. This is before any of this started, and you said, well, we don't really know where this is going, but we got to make sure we are prepared. You've done a great job to stay ahead of this whole thing. And did you think, though, that we would be one of the leading counties, and in West Bloomfield in particular, one of the leading areas in our country where the coronavirus is having the most impact?
Well, Dave, thanks for inviting me. And the Township Board and our various employees are very concerned, and we're trying to inform our staff and the public as well as we can. In terms of predicting what would have occurred, nobody knew. But definitely this has exceeded what most people thought, and we're concerned because we want our residents to be safe. We want them to be able to enjoy life, and what has happened, this pandemic, has just changed all of our lives.
Well, but I think it's been managed as well as possible by the police, by the fire, by the elected officials, by the employees in the township. The essential services are still there, but we've been able to isolate, and a little bit of optimism today. Tyler and I were just talking a minute ago. We're beginning to see the very, very, very beginning. It's nuance, but the very beginning of some of these numbers come around. And Steve, I imagine that is directly a result of the actions that people have been taking as a result of leadership from government.
There's no question that our residents and residents throughout the state are taking it very seriously. The 6-foot rule is essential. In fact, many people are even exercising 8 feet, an 8-foot, 10-foot rule. The washing of the hands, the staying home, not going out. All of this is reducing the number of cases, the number of victims, and ultimately, if people follow the rules, the pandemic will be vanquished.
And I don't know about you, but I see people are following the rules for the most part, and I think that's why we're making progress. And I'm optimistic we're going to get through this.
Yes, likewise. And so our residents, many of them they're taking it seriously. They're not going out. They're staying home, and only for emergency matters like food and pharmaceuticals are they leaving their homes.
But all the things that we depend on, water, electricity, services, television, where would we be? It's all at home without some TV right now. All these
right,
things.
harkening back to August of 2003 with the 3.5-day power shortage or outage based on a grid defect in New York. Remember that, Dave? We didn't have televisions. Yeah. We didn't have water. We didn't have electricity. At least now we can watch our televisions. We can meet with each other by Zoom, and we have water and power.
Any challenges that you're having at the township or on the other side of it, things that are going really well in the midst of all this that you want to share with people?
Yes, I think our police department and fire department have done well in notifying the public, and the township board, of course, is doing what it can to provide information to the public. I think we are pleased with how our residents are responding. That's one of the reasons we have such a great township here. We have top-notch people living here, and we're just proud as township board members to assist as much as we can to try to make people's lives even a little better.
So we just heard from one of our county commissioners. We're going to hear from one of our state lawmakers in just a couple of minutes, and then you on the local level. Is everybody working together? I mean, is state government, local government, county government, the federal government? I know we can always do better, but are the lines of communication open, and are you able to interact with those other agencies?
Right, the state has been in touch with us. The county has been phenomenal, just stupendous, and contacting us on a daily basis. So I want to commend the county. But politics has not reared its ugly head here. It's not a Democratic issue. It's not a Republican issue. It's not a Libertarian issue. We're all in this together. It's unusual for there not to be any political infighting at this stage of the election cycle. but you're not seeing any of that here in Oakland County or in the state.
No, I think it's working out pretty well. And,
Level.
we're going to get to some we'll talk about it a little bit in the show delicately. We're going to get to some issues here. I mean, there's going to be differences of opinion on how we come out of this, okay? There'll be a very pro-business perspective. There'll be a very conservative perspective as to keeping all of the orders in place as long as we can. That's going to be a valid discussion and debate, and it's something that actually I look forward to, but it's coming. We got to try to figure out how we transition back to as normal of a life as we can get to.
What we don't know, Dave, is none of us are bright enough, whether this virus returns in a different setting or whether we conquer it forevermore. But I do think that if it reemerges, that everybody, state, federal, local levels will be even better equipped to deal with it.
Well, just one of the things that is just a great example of your ability to adapt, you and the other municipalities, is what's been going on with meetings. I mean, it's a central point of your operations. You got to get together, do your business in public, get all the elected officials together, and give people an opportunity to participate from the public. You've been doing it with Zoom via Civic Center TV and other outlets, and it's worked out pretty well. How's it going from your side?
We've had 2 meetings by Zoom on March 23rd and April the 6th, and your Civic Center TV is to be commended for arranging this for us, and you've taught us, you've trained us. So we had 26 participants at our last meeting of April 6th, meeting 26 people from the community actually applied and were part of the meeting. So it shows democracy's in action, and it's important for the board to meet. We have bills to pay, we have policies to pass. But I think the public has confidence in its local community when it knows that meetings are continuing to be held and business is being conducted.
Steve, can you talk briefly before we go about how your partners at Henry Ford West Bloomfield, the Beaumont facility here in West Bloomfield, and our adult care facilities, how that's going? I'm sure our first responders have been in touch with them and working with them, but they seem to be doing a great job. Can you share your thoughts on that?
The teamwork involved here, Dave, it's astounding. Henry Ford Hospital West Bloomfield, it's one of the best hospitals in the state, and of course we have the Beaumont Medical Building, but we're very confident that the hospitals can handle the patients, the overruns, and it's just so sad that you read and you see how people are so sick and many are dying, and it's just not fair. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to the community. But I think our residents can be confident that Henry Ford Hospital, through its leadership of Eric Wallace and Amy Strauss and others, if you went to central casting to find people to serve in those roles, you couldn't do any better than what we have with Eric Wallace and Amy Strauss and others.
Yeah, and we've got great medical leaders across our area. I think we're really blessed directly here in West Bloomfield, but for folks that may be tuning in from outside of West Bloomfield, other great people, other great facilities, everybody's stepping up. We're seeing that southeastern Michigan and Oakland County is in the epicenter of the research because we have so many cases here. It's a good place to do some of the research to find the cures. And then just right down the road, Suburban Showplace stepping up now. So if we need some more beds and we do get overwhelmed at some of our facilities, we've got that too. So just greater example of teamwork right immediately in West Bloomfield and just around.
And Dave, I would be remiss if I didn't compliment public safety. I think our public knows how stupendous our public safety officers are. And that's reflected by the fact that the millage renewal was passed 82% to 18%. But our Emergency Operations Center, led by Fire Chief Greg Flynn and Chief Mike Pads involved and Deputy Chief Lawson and Assistant Fire Chief Lowry, we're at the top of the game there. And I don't want to compare us to other communities, but I could say that our Emergency Operations Center began early, and they're providing wonderful services, and it all benefits the public.
Yeah, I don't think people are making, you could see in a situation like this that it would be difficult. I mean, it hasn't happened, and I don't even want to imply that it would, but you can understand how tough it would be to properly operate a 911 center and properly respond when the phone is ringing off the hook. But the team is prepared, organized. They've been doing a great job, and they have been able to respond. And when we talked to Chief Lynn about this several times, he said, hey, we're able to make the calls. We're able to respond. At some points, we've been concerned whether the beds were there in the hospitals, but that's worked out too. And I would echo everything you said about the public safety folks here and around our area.
Well, thanks, Dave.
So, Steve, anything else that you want to add before we run along?
Township Board is, all 7 of us are active. We're involved in the community. We're here to respond to your calls. By the way, we're taking calls at Town Hall every day, even on weekends, so please call if you have any questions. But just know that the local government week here, and we're doing the best that we can.
All right, Steve, thank you very much, and thank you very much for joining us and all of your support and your participation today, and keep up the good fight. And I know before you go, you probably want to say Happy Easter and Happy Passover to everybody, too.
Yeah, isn't it ironic that 2 of these wonderful holidays are disrupted to the point that people can't even meet with their families?
Yeah, it is.
We will survive. We will survive all of this.
We will. Thank you, Steve. Have a great day.
Thanks, Dave.
All right.